The next question. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. I am Shahzeb Gul from Dera Ghazi Khan, Punjab, Pakistan. My father has kidney problem. His one kidney has stopped working and also has stones in the other kidney. MashaAllah, he prays his salah regularly and insists to fast. I always request him not to fast, but he does not listen to me. Finally, he agreed. Whatever Dr. Zakir Naik says, whether to fast or not to fast, he will do the same. Is it permissible for him to not fast, keeping in view that he has 40% of the kidney working? My father is 55 years old. A similar question has been asked. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Shehnaz Khan from Bradford, UK. I am a homemaker. My mother is 65 years old and has severe diabetes. She, mashallah, prays 5 times a day. Even after asking her not to fast, she insists on fasting the complete month of Ramadan. My mother is a fan of yours. Please could you advise her that it is not fard for her to fast as she is not healthy and it is better she does not fast. So there are 2 questions which are similar. The first question is from brother from Pakistan saying that his father has kidney problem, his one kidney failed, the second kidney has got stones and he insists on fasting. And the other question is from Bradford, one of the sisters asked that the mother is 65 years old, she has severe diabetes and she insists on fasting. What can you please explain to her? But naturally there are some rules and conditions for fasting. For a person to fast, he should be a Muslim, number 1, should be an adult, should be sane, should be healthy, and if it's a woman, should not be menstruating, should not have prenatal or postnatal. So these few conditions are required. So one of the conditions is that if the person is not healthy, it is not fard for him to fast. So the requirement of the fasting, I've told, should be Muslim, should be adult. If women should not be menstruating or fasting, should be sane. But there are certain exemptions given for fasting. For example, a person is traveling. It's mentioned in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah chapter 2, verse number 185, 185, 6, 187, 188, that if you are traveling, then you need not fast in Ramadan, you can fast later on. Similarly, if you are sick and you cannot do, then you can avoid fasting and fast later on when you get healthy. So as far as the ruling of people who are sick is concerned, if you are sick and you cannot fast, you are allowed to miss the fast which is fard during the month of Ramadan and fast later on when you are healthy. But if you have a health condition which is chronic and it will not at all improve, whether it be chronic kidney disease known as CKD, or maybe severe diabetes mellitus, or maybe terminal illness. So in this case, you need not fast and there can be fidya given. You can feed hungry people. For the full month of Ramadan, you can feed 30 people who are poor and that will compensate for that. Regarding the question asked here, that his father is suffering from a chronic kidney disease, one disease has failed, one of the kidney has failed, has a chronic kidney disease, CKD, and he prays 5 times a day, mashallah, insists on fasting even though his son doesn't want him to. And on the other side, you have in UK a sister whose mother is 65 years old, has severe diabetes, and she too insists on fasting. Can I advise her that it's not required for him to fast? The general ruling in both these cases, because the kidney has failed, it means CKD, chronic kidney disease, and severe diabetes, the ruling is that they need not fast. They don't have to fast and Allah will not question them, and they can feed 30 people for the complete month of Ramadan. But there are some people who, even though they are sick, they may have a higher level of taqwa and they want to fast. Like in traveling. Today traveling is very easy. So though Allah has given the permission that you need not fast during traveling, it's not a fard not to fast. So when I travel, always, the month of Ramadan, easy. The whole atmosphere is there. Whether I'm traveling or not, the traveling is so easy. You're traveling in the plane, no problem, or in the train. Unlike the earlier times where you used to travel on a camel in the hot sun, difficult to fast. Here everything is so easy. In fact, if you tell me not to fast and fast late, it will be difficult for me. Fasting in the month of Ramadan is easy. Everyone is fasting. If you tell me not to fast and fast on the other day, it's more difficult. So even if you're traveling, whether in a plane or whether in a car or whether in a bus, it's not compulsory you should not fast. But the rukhsa is given. The permission is given even today. Even if the travel is comfortable and you say you don't want to fast, you are permitted not to fast, but you have to compensate for the fast when the conditions are better, when you're not traveling, that is compulsory. So similarly, if people who are sick, depends upon the sickness. The ruling is that the sickness is very mild and then it doesn't disturb your fast, then you should fast. There's no rukhsa for that. But it's a severe illness where it's difficult to fast, then you should not fast. But yet, some people have taqwa and they are strong and they yet want to fast. So what is the solution for that? So there was a survey done. As far as medical is concerned, if you have a mild diabetes, where you're only on a low level of tablets, then you have to fast. It is not sufficient excuse for you not to fast. So if you have mild diabetes, in which you are taking few tablets of a low dosage, you have to fast. You cannot say I have diabetes, I don't want to fast. No, you cannot. It doesn't hamper. As long as you take your tablet regularly, in the morning or in the night, it will not. But if you have moderate diabetes, where you are on high level of oral tablets, or maybe you are taking some insulin of a lower dosage, that's called moderate diabetes, then you are excused for not fasting, but yet, if you want to fast, you can fast. There was a survey done. That amongst the people who have diabetes and who need not fast, and Islam has given permission, and all the schools of thought are unanimous, that if you have a sickness such as moderate or chronic diabetes, you don't have to fast. Or if you have a chronic kidney disease, you don't have to fast. In spite of that, when a survey was done, that 60% of the people who have moderate or severe diabetes, they yet fast the full month of Ramadan. And additional 15% may fast for 15 days or more. That means 75% of the people who have moderate or severe diabetes, though Islam has given them permission not to fast, yet they fast. Whether good or bad, we'll come to it later on. Yet they fast. 60% the full month of Ramadan, 15% 15 days and more. So 75% of the people fast for more than half the month of Ramadan, and 60% fast for the full month of Ramadan. Though they have been told not to fast, this shows the passion of the Muslims, the taqwa of the Muslims. So is it right that they fast or not is the question. If you have the capability of fasting and see to it that it is not dangerous for your life. Now that is a very subjective term. If it's not dangerous for your life, it is not detrimental for your life, even though there is rukhsa in Islam that you need not fast and yet you want to fast, can you do it or not? So general ruling, me as a medical doctor, that if you have mild diabetes and if you are on very low dosage of, maybe glucosamine tablet, I feel fasting, you should fast. You don't have excuse not to fast. But if you are on moderate diabetes, talking about diabetes 2, there are two types of diabetes mellitus 1 and diabetes mellitus 2. I'm talking about diabetes mellitus 2, which is mild, or if you're pre-diabetic, that's not an excuse for you not to fast. But if you're moderate diabetes, where you're on high dosage of oral tablets, or if you're taking insulin of a small quantity, then you can fast if you want to fast. You have been given the rukhsa not to fast. But then what you have to do, you have to regularly keep on checking your blood sugar level. And you have to see to it there are not severe bouts of hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia. that sugar goes up or comes down. If there are too many bouts of up and down, it is detrimental for your health. So if you have moderate diabetes, and if you see to it that you take your tablets before the suhoor, early in the morning, and if you have to take twice a day, you can take it after the iftar at night time, and see to it that in between while fasting, you check your blood sugar. It doesn't go too high, doesn't go too low, then it is safe. If you have severe diabetes, where you are in high dosage of insulin, you should not fast. Yet, if you want to fast, you can do it with consultation of your diabetologist. So if there are specialists in diabetes, he will check everything, and if you insist, I want to see to it that you consult a diabetologist. Generally, the answer is no, you should not fast. It is not Islamically correct. If your life is in danger, you have to fast, it is incorrect. But if you have an expert in diabetes, and if he comes and he tells you that, okay, fine, I'll monitor it and this and that. So the general ruling is that you need not have to fast. Islam has given you the rukhsa. But it is know that I have taqwa, I have to fast. And I know very well that a normal human being, an adult human being, requires 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I'm a medical doctor. Average sleep required for a human being is 8 hours a day. If you sleep 7 hours, acceptable. If you sleep up to 9 hours, acceptable. Anything above 9 hours is excessive sleep. Anything below 7 hours is less sleep. And medical science tells us today that if you sleep less than 6 hours, then 0.01% of the people can function normally. Means if you sleep less than 6 hours, or if you sleep for 6 hours or less, or 6 hours, not less, 7 to 9 hours is normal. If you sleep for 6 hours, then 0.01% means 1 in 10,000 people can function normally. Now, I am a medical doctor, I know this, and I've said this several times before. I, on average, sleep 3 to 3 hours a day on average. Sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 3.5 hours, sometimes 4.5 hours. On average, I sleep about 3 to 3.5 hours a day. And this I'm doing since several years. I used to sleep in the medical college maybe for about 4 to 5 hours. And got involved in the field of dawah, it became less. It became 3 hours and then became 3.5 hours. And I came to Malaysia for the first 1 or 2 years, maybe I slept for 1 hour more, but again I went back. On average, I've been sleeping 3 to 3.5 hours on average for the last many decades. Maybe for the last 30 years. Medically, it's abnormal. Medically, it's abnormal. If you ask me, how many people in the world can sleep for 3 and 3.5 hours and function normally, the answer would be maybe 1 in 10 million, 0.0001%. Or if you say 1 in 10, I'm just saying a figure which is safe. It can be more. 1 in 10 million means there are 8 billion people alive. Correct? 1 in 10 million means there will hardly be about 800 people. 800 people, if I say 1 in 10 million, means there are 8 billion people, we'll have 8,000 million. So if 1 in 10 million means there will be 800 people in the world who can do it. It may be 1 in 20 million, with the phone, I don't know, but surely the number is small. And I'm aware that most of the celebrities, whether they do good or bad, it may be Islamic or un-Islamic, they sleep less. Not all, but most of the celebrities who are maybe a very famous actor or maybe a very famous, whatever it is, not all, but there are many who sleep less and Allah has gifted them. So as far as I know, and my wife keeps on telling me, you should sleep more, and she quotes verses of the Quran that saying that, Allah has made night for you to rest. And then I quote the other verse of the Quran that blessed are those people who sacrifice their bed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So but generally, yes, Generally, as a medical doctor, 7 hours minimum is required. So I tell my son, okay, fine, 7 hours you should. So I don't force him that, why don't you sleep for, I'm sleeping 3 hours, you sleep for 5 hours. I don't tell him that. I'm a doctor, I know that, yes, if he sleeps more than 8, I may say, okay, 7, 8 is also okay. He sleeps for about 6.5 or 7 hours. Average 7 hours he sleeps, sometimes 6.5. I don't force him that I'm sleeping for 3 hours, I'm young, I'm so old, I'm 58 years old, you're only 29 years old, you're half my age, so you should sleep less than me. No. Medically, for an adult, the average sleep required for a human being is 8 hours. It can vary between 7 to 9 hours. Anything below 7 is abnormal, and below 6 is more abnormal. And we know that our beloved Prophet Muhammad, when we read his seerah, even he slept less number of hours. We don't have the exact number in any of the hadith, but when you calculate that he spent sometimes half the night, more than 1/3 night, sometimes 2/3 night, and you calculate, it will surely be somewhere close to between, there's no calculation done, but would be 3 to 5 hours. It will not be, cannot be more than 5 hours at all. Most probably would be somewhere close to 4 hours, but there is no authentic narration how many hours he slept. But what we know from his practice, and we calculate the summertime and the winter time, and what time the Isha is and the Fajr is, and how which he prayed, etc., we get a rough idea that he might have slept for somewhere close to between 3 to 5 hours, but average maybe somewhere close to 4 hours. So similarly, if you can do it, fine. If you cannot do it, you should not. So this is the guideline that if you are sick and if you're going to cause a problem for you to fast, you should not fast. Now coming to the first question of the CKD, chronic kidney disease. Now for chronic kidney disease, as a policy, it is high risk and very high risk to fast. General statement. But you may be in CKD, chronic kidney disease stage 3, where you can fast with monitoring. Maybe you have to test your levels and see to it that the plasma creatinine doesn't go more than 30% above the base level. And you see to it that you keep on measuring your weight, and they should not be increased of more than 2 kilos in a span of couple of days. You can take precaution that when you break your fast, there should be more potassium in your diet. See to it that you have excessive water. So these precautions you can fast. You need not. Islam has given you rukhsah, has given you the permission. If you have chronic kidney disease, you don't have to fast. But yet if you insist on fasting, saying that I have the capacity and Allah will help me, so you have to monitor it. And if you have really renal failure, etc., you cannot do without a medical renal team. So if you have mild stage 1, stage 2, okay. But if you have a high stage of CKD, chronic kidney disease, unless you don't have a renal team, it is very dangerous. Please don't do it. So if you want to try it and you say that I have the taqwa, you should have a renal team, you go to a nephrologist. A nephrologist is a specialist on kidney, and take it advice. He will tell you, do this test. Please don't go on my answer, please. The answer I'm giving you cannot say, okay, now Dr. Zakir Naik has said that if I have chronic kidney disease of stage 3, I will test my plasma level, I'll have more water after iftar, I'll have more potassium. Please don't. This is not at all. I'm just giving you guidelines. So don't use my answer as an answer to say that because Dr. Zakir Naik said I will fast. Please don't. The ruling in Islam is you have been excused. So if you have diabetes of moderate level or severe level, you have been excused. Moderate, if you try, you can try it, moderate level of diabetes, by taking precautions and having a blood test. If you are severe, then you have to consult a diabetologist. Same thing with CKD, chronic kidney disease. If it is very low stage, okay, you can, but in chronic kidney disease, at all stages, it is high risk. So see to it, you consult your nephrologist. This answer of mine was to tell you that if you have the passion, if you have the taqwa, yet you have to take precautions. You cannot say that I have the taqwa and then if something happens to you, then it is haram on you. You cannot say I'll jump and Allah will save me. It is suicide. So without taking proper precautions, you say I will fast and you insist I'll not break my fast, it is haram in Islam. If you know your blood sugar is going up and down, you have to break it. Oh, no. Another 2 hours are there, I've got strength. If you're having severe diabetes, then your blood sugar starts going up and down. Hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia. It is further on you to break your fast. If you don't, it's haram. It will be considered nothing like suicide. It will be suicide. So let me make it very clear. So if you have that passion that no, I'm sick and I want to fast, take your precaution, follow the rules of the Sharia. That have all the team, have the specialist give you advice, keep on checking, something fluctuates, be prepared to break. If you are not prepared to break, then it's haram. Same thing with the kidney. There are people, there are researches done, even on people, those who have got chronic kidney disease. And there are chronic kidney disease researches that they took a group of 70 people who had the disease, who fasted, and 70 didn't have disease, and there's no difference in both of them. Of course, they are at a lower stage. So, of course, a lot of taqwa is required. So there is a medical organization called as for patients of chronic kidney disease and diabetes mellitus, especially advising them in the month of Ramadan. That's a Muslim organization. You can Google it and find it. So you can surely take the help. They are specialized in advising Muslims during the month of Ramadan whether you should fast or not and what care you can take. So the general answer is that if you fall in the chronic stage of diabetes or of chronic kidney disease, please don't fast. Yet if you want to, then you can only do it with the advice of a specialist. As the Quran says in Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse 43 and Surah Anbiya chapter 21 verse number 7, Fasalu ahle zikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. If you don't know, ask the person who is a specialist. Without that, please don't go on my answer and say that, oh, I've heard Dr. Zakir Naik saying, he's given me the green signal. No, I'm not giving you a green signal. I'm just telling you that the rules of how you decipher whether it's permitted or not. General ruling is that if you don't fast, you are forgiven. Allah will not hold you responsible. But yet if you want to, take the precautions, and if the specialist give you permission, you can go ahead. Otherwise, don't. Hope that answers the question for both the patient who has a chronic kidney disease as well as the person who has got severe diabetes mellitus. Jazakallah shukr.